Kenneth Burke is often considered the foremost rhetorician of the mid-20th century. Having revolutionized the way we think about rhetoric, one of his key contributions to the subject was that he challenged the idea rhetoric could be only found in speeches, and instead argued rhetoric could be found in many things in our everyday lives, including literature, movies, television shows, radio, newspapers, and plays. Borrowing off the idea of Shakespeare, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players, like in a play. Shakespeare was a dramatist, and for that reason, Burke applied dramatic elements to analyzing rhetoric. Dramatism, to Burke, was the study of human relations and motive. It's vital in writing compelling characters. But what if you could use dramatism to examine real people? And thus the dramatic pentad was born. The dramatic pentad shows the motivations behind an act of communication, whether it be a speech or a whole rally gathering hundreds of people. Every pentad has 5 key points: the act, the agent, the agency, the scene, and the purpose. The act is what is being done. The agent is who is performing the act. This can be one person or several. The agency is how the agent is performing the act. What is aiding them in performing? The scene is a very broad topic, which includes when and where, but a variety of other subjects including specific context leading up to the act. Lastly is the purpose, or why the agent is performing the act. If that's all a little confusing to remember, just remember this: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Who is the agent? What is the act? When and where is the scene? Why is the purpose? And how is the agency?
Our drama begins with an act by an American who was raised by migrant farm workers. He would be making a speech at the University of California, Los Angeles. In the fall of October 1972, he would boycott lettuce that would change the lives of farmers forever.
Cesar Chavez represents the agent when translating that into the dramatic pentad. As a 45-year-old Mexican-American, he had many credentials under his belt. He was known as a prominent union leader, labor activist, social justice advocate, Chicano leader, and humanitarian. He was leader to the braceros, or migrant farm workers who struggled for better working conditions. He worked in the fields of California and encountered the conditions that he would dedicate his life to changing. There were numerous accounts of wretched migrant camps, corrupt labor contractors, meager wages for backbreaking work, and bitter racism. At the age of 38, he led a peaceful protest against California migrant workers' occupational conditions. In light of this, Chavez founded the National Farm Workers Association in 1962.
During his speech in UCLA, Chavez used many tools that function as the agency to communicate his peaceful protest. Things like pamphlets, flyers, posters, and card decals, to name a few, were the physical contributions of his outreach. The news media helped identify him throughout the nation with the help of parades and gatherings where he eventually got the support of the Catholic Church. Evidently, the support of the Catholic Church became very controversial because people thought the church should stick to church business. The famous symbol of the black eagle on a flag made a huge impact on his movement, which still is flown in fields today.
In October of 1972, life in America was another scene like a movie. Richard Nixon was re-elected as president in the 1972 and resigned in 1974. He was known as creating the biggest political scandal in modern times, like the Watergate scandal. It was a tragic time for all, especially when minimum wage was $1.85 per hour and with the national average income of $11,859. A month away from the elections, Proposition 22 took place. The initiative aimed at destroying the California grape industry and won key lettuce contracts. In California State University, Fullerton, Proposition 22 boycotted lettuce on October 19, 1972. Because of this event, Chavez fasted for 24 days to protest an Arizona law that bans farm workers from organizing, boycotting, or striking. His movement changed millions.
The purpose of Cesar Chavez's speech was to convince people of his message that field workers should have better rights and sway them to his cause.
Having used our example, Cesar Chavez's speech at UCLA in 1972, we can more clearly see the motivations and reasoning behind him speaking in front of that crowd. By examining the act, agent, agency, scene, and purpose, we can see everything leading up to a communication event. The pentad can be applied to a variety of different topics, from speeches to rallies to protests. While many may judge one particular aspect of a communication event, one must look at all 5 parts of the pentad to truly understand why such a thing happens in the first place. Too often, many are quick to judge that a specific act is wrong, a person is wrong, or someone is acting for the wrong reasons, without examining everything that led up to that point. While the purpose of the pentad isn't to explain right or wrong, it allows us to better form opinions on events when we are objectively looking at all of the parts that made the event possible.